chance of seeing it. Very clean.
So Sea of Sand is a 1958 British war film with a very familiar looking cast anyway. You probably know a lot of the faces in here, if not the names. And it's got a few famous names as well. It's got Richard Attenborough who headlines the film. But it's kind of strange because he's not really the main character. He's kind of a side character really, Richard Attenborough's character. It's really kind of Michael Craig and John Gregson, who's the stars of this film. You've got a number of other famous faces, of course, in here. You've got Barry Foster and Percy Hubbard and Ray McNally, to name a few. You'll know them when you see them. Very familiar kind of British war film casts. This was actually shot in Libya, I think, so it's got a pretty authentic kind of desert kind of war feel to it. That's one of the plus points. It's kind of a blandish story, though, I would say, and the characters really kind of, you don't really root for them. You don't get invested in that much. I mean, it's the script is kind of pretty straightforward. There's nothing really spectacularly interesting about this film, really. It's got a solid cast, though. I'll give it that. Basically, kind of Michael Craig is the leader of this L.R.D.G group. They're like a precursor to the S.A.S, Long Range Desert Groups, I think they're called. S.A.S sounds better. But basically they were like a precursor to the S.A.S, and they would go long distance behind enemy lines doing these raids and missions and stuff. And in particular, this mission is to blow up an enemy German fuel dump. But they also get John Gregson to come along with them. He's one of the Royal Engineers who has to kind of clear a path, a minefield, through the minefield that will be around this kind of dump as a protection. So he kind of, that's what the main focus of this film is, the kind of interaction, the friction between himself, John Gregson, and Michael Craig, because John Gregson is a regular soldier, and these guys don't play by any rules. They kind of they'll do anything to survive, and they don't really kind of salute or do any of the usual things in the army. And he finds that difficult, John Gregson's character, and so he clashes with Michael Craig. But overall, in the end, they do kind of earn each other's respect. But it's an okay watch. It's not. You got everything that you normally get in these kind of films is in here. You get some bursts of gunfire. They get attacked by planes, they get ambushed a few times, and they're like there's two groups of them. I don't know, there's about 2 lorry loads of them, or 2 armoured vehicles full of them, but they get whittled down to this few by the end, you know, after a few attacks, and things go wrong, of course. It's kind of a bland kind of war film, though, and the action is not that exciting. The dialogue is very kind of stale and kind of uninteresting, really. There's not really a lot of tension, other than that kind of slight tension between Michael Craig and John Gregson. Richard Attenborough's character is kind of, as I said, a side character. He plays this kind of mildly tipsy, kind of mildly kind of insolent and insubordinate kind of soldier. I think he wrote about it that it was another one of these bland characters that he kept playing during that time in his career. And he's not a very interesting character. In fact, none of the characters are all that interesting in this film, and you don't really get behind, invested in any of the characters, so you don't really care when they're in danger or any of that. That's one of the main problems of this film. It's not that gripping, that interesting. It has some good moments in it, don't get me wrong, but the cast are the best thing about this film, definitely. It's an average war film, I would say. With the location filming the best, one of the better aspects of it, I would say. But it's not memorable in any way. You'd forget about this within a week, really. And I watched this a long time ago, and I reviewed it in a slideshow review, and I don't really recall that much about it, but after reading up about it, I recall some of the parts of it. But it's an okay watch if you've got nothing better. If you like war films like I do, you'll get something out of it. I'm not an expert. I don't know how realistic the film is or anything. I know that people were pointing out in the comments that the vehicles that were used in the film were not accurate, and the guns and such like. But if that spoils your watching of the film, then so be it. The film is not that great anyway to start off with. But anyway, that's the review. Sea of Sand, 1958. Watch it if you like war films, but don't expect too much greatness. It's just an average or slightly below average war film, I would say. Thanks for watching.